All right, all right, all right. Getting started with today's webinar, how to create an SEO strategy for your nonprofit. We are going to let you all get settled in. I already see a lot of people joining. I'm really excited to have you all here today. So I want to hear from you in the chat as you get settled in, where you're from, and what you're hoping to learn today. So let's open up that chat now. There's already people filing in. Yeah, please go ahead, get settled. This is going to be a great conversation. So as you get started, I want you to have some pen and paper handy so you can take some notes, or maybe a Google Doc works as well, however you prefer. And I want to let everyone know that you're going to get the slides in your inbox. So don't worry about it. If you miss something, you'll get the slides later. And you'll also get the webinar recording in your inbox tomorrow. So don't worry. We'll be sending all of that tomorrow. So also, just so everyone knows, this webinar is, it's going to be recorded for anyone else that's just filing that in now. And we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So please go ahead and put all of your questions in the Q&A pane. That's the best way to get your question answered, because the chat goes really fast. There's a lot of you on today. So please go ahead and make sure you put all of your questions in the Q&A pane. So I'm excited to really have us get started with our webinar today on how you can create an SEO strategy for your nonprofit. It is so important for your overall success when it comes to having a digital strategy. And we're joined by our in-house SEO expert today, Ashley Brannon. Ashley is a senior digital specialist here at Community Boost who focuses on website user experience, and she's passionate about helping nonprofits like yours grow by increasing their visibility and engagement online. So I'm excited for you all to be here today, and thank you so much, Ashley, for presenting.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today, and thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit more about SEO and how to build your SEO strategy. So I'm really excited to talk to you about search engine optimization and how to use it to boost your digital marketing strategy. Like Candace said, my name is Ashley Brannon. I'm an SEO senior digital specialist on the Community Boost team, and I really work on all things website optimization, but SEO is my bread and butter. And so it'll be really fun to get into the basics and strategy today. Here at Community Boost, we are really proud and privileged to work with such amazing social ventures that are changing the world, such as the Humane Society, Cancer Research Institute, and Souls for Souls. And in 2021, we worked with 345 nonprofits directly and helped them generate over $14 million in donation revenue. And one of the ways that we made that impact with our organizations that we work with is through search engine optimization. So let's just start to dive right in and get a little bit more familiar with SEO and what SEO is. So I want everyone to think about how often you Google something. How many times a day do you rely on Google to provide you with the answers and resources to all of your questions and needs? We do this so much that Google has now become a verb, right? Google it. And SEO really works to get your website ranking and showing up on the search engine results page for relevant keywords related to your organization's goals and missions. And nonprofits are such experts in so many unique fields, but they don't always have the same amount of advertising budgets as some of these really big corporations putting into Google Ads. SEO is a really great long-term and sustainable way to get your organization showing up on the search engine results page and get really engaged users to your website to engage with your resources, your programs, and your mission. So now that you have that understanding of what it is, who it's for, let's kind of dive a little bit deeper into the fundamentals here. SEO is the process of optimizing your website in order to gain organic traffic. And organic traffic is really traffic that you're not paying for, you're showing up in search results for Google. There is so much information on the internet, and Google's job is really to sift through all of the URLs, all of the content that lives on the internet, and determine what to show Google users when they search for specific terms. And by structuring your website in a specific way, you can make it a little bit easier for Google to do its job. You can make it a little bit easier for Google to sift through the content on your website and understand what your content is about, and be more likely to rank for keywords that are related to what you want to show up for on the search engine results page. We know that there's a lot of drop off as people have to click through multiple pages of the search engine results page, right? Like, not very many people are going to be clicking on the second, third, fourth page of Google. People are most likely to engage with the top results that show up on the search engine results page. So SEO works to really get your website ranking as high up on the search engine results page as possible to get the most amount of engagement on your website. There are a lot of benefits of SEO, but let's kind of dive into some of the main points of why SEO can really help out you and your organization. By creating SEO-friendly content, we can increase the amount of awareness-based traffic coming to your website. So your organizations make a huge impact on the world, but in order to maintain that impact, we have to continuously accrue supporters of your mission to make that impact every single day. And one way to gain supporters is to direct people who support your mission, who are looking for resources like the ones that you provide, or services like the ones that you provide, but they may just not know who your organization is yet. They're looking for what you do, but they're not as familiar with your brand and your brand name yet. And we can pull in that top of funnel traffic through SEO, through awareness-based content and awareness-based keywords. And not only can that top of funnel traffic become a really involved audience on your website and convert once on your website, but they can also be used for remarketing audiences through other channels like Facebook ads or Google ads. So bringing in that traffic can really help you across all of the channels that you're working on. Google also supports websites that have really good user experience. And this is a really big move for Google's organic algorithm as of late, of just preferring websites that have good user experience, whether that be good page site speed or loading experience, and also just quick and easy navigation. And not only by adjusting that on your website will Google favor your website and be more likely to rank it, but the people that do engage with your website will also just have a great experience once they're on your website. It'll be more appreciated by the people that are coming to your site. SEO also has just a lot of strengths because it's such a unique channel to focus on. First off, SEO is quote unquote free of cost. And I say that because you don't need to put any ad spend behind your results. However, you do have to invest your own time in updating your website, creating more content, doing keyword research. And we all know that time is not free, but you are able to create sustainable results that you don't have to put ad spend behind. There's also other benefits of SEO in that you don't have to abide by the same policy restrictions that you would have to abide by when it comes to Google Ads. So Google Ads, especially as of late, has had a lot of restrictions around what language you can include in your ads, what language you can include on the copy of your website. And that can lead to a lot of frustrating headaches when it comes to dealing with ad disapprovals and adjusting your ad copy and adjusting the content that lives on your landing pages. And SEO doesn't have those same restrictions. You won't get flagged for the same policy restrictions that you would get flagged when it comes to ads. SEO can also help you improve your localized traffic. One of the great benefits of SEO is being able to target people within your immediate area. If you're a brick and mortar organization, if you have a physical location that you want to drive more localized traffic to, then you can use tools like Google My Business or other features and keywords within your website in order to draw that localized traffic to your site. And I really just want to highlight that SEO is really sustainable clicks. Once you invest your time into optimizing your website, you don't have to put that ad spend behind it. It's not the same as Google Ads, where as soon as you stop paying, you stop seeing your results. It'll be sustainable over time. So now I just want to highlight some things to keep in mind before building out your SEO strategy. One of them being that SEO is a tactic. It's not a business goal. It's definitely a tool that you can use to achieve your business goals, but it in and of itself is not a business goal. It's something that you can use to drive more traffic around the overall marketing goals that you want to have within your organization, and it's a tool to help you achieve that. SEO is also really good for targeting keywords that have low search volume, but convey really high search intent. So taking a look at keywords that might not have thousands and thousands of monthly searches every single month. However, the people that are searching for those keywords are really likely to convert once they actually get to your website. SEO is also really great for keywords that have high demand but low competition. So keywords that do have thousands of monthly searches every single month, but not every single organization and company and website is trying to go after those exact same keywords. When you really think about it, on the first page of Google, the first page of the search engine results page, there's only 10 spots for URLs to rank on the first page. And we know that it's really competitive. Those top pages are going to get the most clicks and the most engagement. So trying to target keywords that your website has a really high chance of being able to rank on the first page of the search engine results page to get the most engagement as possible. We are investing a lot of our time and our efforts into getting our website to rank for keywords. And we want to make sure that the keywords that we're ranking for are really fruitful and they're either going to bring in a lot of people or really involved and engaged people. The last thing that I really want to bring up is that SEO is a long-term game. The process of SEO and optimizing your website will take longer than your typical Google ads and Facebook ads. So unlike Google ads, where you start seeing results essentially as soon as you start paying for them, it'll take a little bit more time with SEO. You'll have to optimize each page, and also it'll just take a little bit more time for Google's algorithm to really understand the changes that you're making within your website. However, like any worthwhile investment, it just takes a little bit of time to grow, and those results are really sustainable over time. Now, keeping that in mind, some important things that we like to bring up for nonprofits. Organic search drives 1,000% more traffic than organic social media. And also 60% of clicks go to the top 3 websites on the search engine results page. So like we were just saying, it's so important to get on the first page of the search engine results page, but also as high up on there as we can possibly get. Most people are engaging with the first 3 websites that they're seeing. only 37% of nonprofits implement a search engine optimization strategy. And that really highlights to me that it's a great opportunity for you and your organization to get started ASAP, start working on your SEO strategy and working on optimizing your website to gain the rankings and search engine results page rankings and engagement. Now, let's really dive into how SEO works. We all know that we want our websites to rank on the search engine results page. We want to rank as high as possible, but how do we do that? What does Google's algorithm really take into account when determining what websites rank and what factors are important in websites? And there's really three main pillars of SEO and what goes into determining what websites will rank for specific keywords. And that can be broken down into on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical SEO. On-page SEO really relates to the optimizations of the content that lives on your website. There's so much information on the internet. There's so much information that Google needs to sift through, and there's specific ways that you can structure your content and structure your content to include specific keywords to make it easier for Google to understand the content that's on your website and be more likely to rank it for the keywords that you want to rank for. And a lot of the strategy that we'll be talking about today will relate to how to structure that content in a specific SEO-friendly format. On-page SEO also relates to content, making sure that your website has the most relevant and best quality answers to a prospect's question. Not only do we want to get users to your website, but we want to make sure that the resources that you have on your website are really resourceful to them, that they're useful, they answer their question, and they're really engaging and prompt more engagement within your website. The next pillar of SEO is off-page SEO. And this relates to being seen as an authoritative figure on the internet. And Google is constantly searching through content to provide its users with the most high quality and trustworthy content as possible. When we go to Google and we search for something, we ask a question, we always expect to find a reliable and accurate answer. And we're able to do that because Google sifts through the content that lives on the internet and shows us the most reliable resources possible. And one of the ranking factors that goes into this is authority. And that's really boils down to how much of an expert Google sees you and your website. And the way that we can gain authority is by getting other websites to link back to your website. And I like to think of it as when we were back in school and we were writing research papers and we had to cite credible sources for our papers to be deemed as credible. And it's kind of similar to this in that by getting other websites to link back to your website and kind of cite your website, it, in Google's eyes, will make your website seem more credible and reliable. And we do this through what we call link building, which is really just outreach to other websites and trying to get them to engage and link back to your website. Then the third pillar of SEO is technical SEO. And technical SEO relates to user experience, how well your content can be crawled and indexed, and along with site speed. This is now a pretty major factor in what Google takes into account when ranking different websites on the search engine results page. We want to make sure that your websites load quickly and easily and have a really great user experience. We also want to make sure that the pages that you want to have indexed or shown up on the search engine results page are actually being indexed. And there's a few different tools that we can use, and we'll dive deeper into this today as well. So these are the three main pillars of what goes into getting your website to rank on the search engine results page. And kind of feels like a lot. That's a lot to work on within your website, but we really break it down into these priorities with our SEO strategy. First things first, we always want to be a solution. Users are going to Google, they're asking questions, they're looking for specific resources. We want to be that solution to their question. We want to make sure that we're answering the questions that they're coming to look for. The next is prioritizing user experience. Not only do we want to get users to your website, but we want to make sure that once they get to your website, that they're having a really pleasurable experience, that the site speed isn't too slow, that your website is fast loading, well designed, easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to interact with. And by making sure that they're having a good time on site, the next priority is keeping visitors on your website. So not only do we want to answer their first initial question, but we want to make sure that we answer their next question. Think about, from what they originally came to your website for, what other resources are related to that we can provide them with. And that can be anything from linking back to other resources on your website or pointing them to any type of programs or services that they may need. And then the last step is testing. Seeing what works, what doesn't. There's a lot of different features that we can use within SEO to get really creative and stay competitive in such a competitive space. So moving from this, we'll kind of dive into an example of one of the clients that we work with, Quality Start. And we'll show you how we use SEO tactics with this partner to get them a huge increase in organic traffic. Quality Start San Bernardino is an early educator nonprofit that works with caregivers and early educators to provide them with resources that they need to support children. And they came to Community Boost with a few different SEO goals. One of their goals was to overall just increase the amount of organic traffic that they had coming to their website. They didn't initially have a lot of organic traffic coming to their website. Initially, organic traffic was only responsible for a small amount of traffic coming to their website. So they wanted to increase that. And the way that they wanted to do that was start ranking their website for key pages that lived on their website. They wanted to draw more traffic to. And they wanted to rank for specific keywords related to early childhood education and development in order to draw attention to those resources and training pages that were so important to their organization. So what we did for them was we started out with keyword research. We identified the best keywords to go after that had opportunity to bring in a lot of organic traffic without competing with a lot of other organizations. And these keywords were also relevant to some of the events and resources that they had on their website that they wanted to drive traffic to. And by identifying these keywords, we wanted to pull the traffic that already existed for those keywords. There were already a lot of people searching for these keywords. And we just wanted to make sure that Quality Start was the resource that they needed, that provided them with the information that the users were looking for. After identifying those keywords, we created new content based off of those keywords using proper SEO format in order to rank for those keywords. By including keywords that we wanted to target within the content, we were able to rank for those keywords and drive more traffic to the website. One way to really make sure that you're showing up for keywords that you want to target is by including it within your content, building out content related to those specific keywords. And so we built out a lot of blog content and resource pages for Quality Start that triggered different keyword rankings and brought in that traffic that was really engaged with their website. From doing this, we had some really exciting results. There was a 507% increase in overall organic traffic. When we initially started working with this organization, organic traffic was only responsible for about 4% of the website's traffic. And after working with them for a year, their website's organic traffic was now responsible for 28% of the organization's traffic. And also, we increased their keyword rankings by over 650 keywords. They were initially only ranking for 385 and then began ranking for over 1,000 after just a year, and creating that content that was really relevant to the keywords that they wanted to target and wanted to show up for. And based off of that, we're going to dive into how to replicate these results on your website. But to help you with this process, we're offering you a free light SEO audit from one of our team specialists and free resources to guide your SEO strategy. And Candace will be posting the link to that in the chat. If you're interested in receiving that SEO guide and free audit, use the QR code or the link that Candace will be posting in chat to help you throughout your SEO process. And just a reminder that if you have specific questions as we're going along, as we're diving into strategy next, feel free to put them in our Q&A chat and we will get to them at the end of this webinar. So now let's dive right into how to build your SEO strategy. Let's look into what you can look for when you're building your SEO strategy and really all the steps that go into building out an SEO strategy. Now, there's a few different things that we like to focus on when it comes to building out an SEO strategy. It's not as simple as just doing keyword research and making more content. There's really a lot that goes into organic strategy, the 3 pillars that we mentioned before, and how to set your goals for your organization. And the first step to all of this is really benchmarking your current SEO performance. We're going to dive into what that means and how to do so, but essentially just understanding where your website currently is performing. What is working well for your website? What could use improvement organically? And how you're currently performing in terms of keyword rankings. Once you understand how your website is already performing organically, we'll set your SEO goals. And by setting your goals, it'll give you kind of a roadmap for the rest of your SEO journey of determining what you want to focus on most and where you want to prioritize your time when it comes to building out SEO strategy. After understanding your SEO goals, we'll dive into keyword research and understanding what people are searching for. SEO is really big on pulling the existing search traffic to your website, seeing where the search traffic already lives, and pulling that audience, an engaged audience, to your website. And we'll do that through creating a content strategy. We will optimize existing content on your website, create new content, make sure it's in proper SEO formatting, and we'll also make sure that that content that you're creating and the website that you're really investing in is seen as an authoritative figure in the space. So all of these really hit on the 3 pillars of SEO and your overall organic rankings. So we're going to dive right into the first step here of benchmarking your current SEO performance. And before we start off with setting your goals and doing keyword research, it's so key to understand how your website is already performing. And there's a few different metrics and things to look at when you're trying to understand your existing organic behavior and performance. One of them is organic visibility. So you can use tools like Google Analytics, and I'll share a few different tools with you all that we like to utilize on our end of how to understand organic traffic. And tools like Google Analytics will allow you to see different metrics, like some of the top pages that are bringing in the most organic traffic, seeing how many conversions or what types of conversions organic traffic is bringing in. Overall, how many users on your website are organic. And when you're doing this process, you can ask yourself questions like, are these pages that are bringing in organic traffic the pages that we want to be sending organic traffic to? Do we want to drive more traffic? What types of engagements are people doing when they get to our site, when they're coming organically? Are they doing the types of conversions that we want them to do? Another portion of benchmarking your current SEO performance is keyword rankings and understanding what types of keywords your website is already ranking for and how many keywords your website is already ranking for. And you can utilize different keyword research tools. Again, we'll dive a little bit deeper into this as well of what types of tools are available for you to use. But taking a look at the keywords that you're ranking for, seeing if they are keywords that you think represent your organization and what you want to draw traffic to, and kind of brainstorming, is that the type of traffic that we want to bring in? Are there gaps of areas that you want to show up for, but you're not? And just noting that in your mind as a weakness or a strength if you are showing up for things that you want to be showing up for. We can also take a look at branded versus non-branded traffic. So branded traffic, obviously, we want to make sure that your website is showing up on the search engine results page if people are searching for your branding. That is so incredibly important. But SEO also gives us the opportunity to reach people who might not know your branding yet, people who are looking for your resources and looking for your services, but don't know who you are yet. And we can do that through some keyword research related to the services that you provide and trying to pull in that traffic of those people that are searching for what you provide. You can also take a look at competitor analyses, and we'll go over these different tools that you can use to identify these. But essentially taking a look at any keywords that your competitors are ranking for, that you would like to be ranking for, but you're not. And also what types of content is bringing in the most organic traffic to your competitors. After taking a look at all of these different user behavior metrics, you can take notes and try to gauge how you're feeling about it. If you think that there are a lot of gaps that you want to focus on, it'll help you form your overall SEO goals. And as I mentioned, there's a few different user behavior tools that you can use to benchmark your website's performance. The ones listed on the left here, SEMrush and Ahrefs, these are both really great SEO tools to have, and they have a lot of different resources. You can use them for keyword research, user behavior regarding what keywords you're ranking for, or some of the top pages that are bringing in the most organic traffic. However, they do require memberships. So we also wanted to highlight these resources on the right, Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Again, both really, really helpful tools to use on the SEO side of things when understanding user behavior, top pages, keywords that you're already ranking for, and these resources are free. So after you identify your current website performance, we can move into defining your SEO goals. And one way to do that is to just think about what you want to get out of SEO. What is your main goal when it comes to focusing on organic traffic? Is one of your major goals just to bring more people to your website? Do you want to just gain more supporters? Do you want to get more people to know who your organization is? Is your goal to increase the number of keywords that you're ranking for? Do you want to show up for specific terms? Not only do you want to bring in more people to your website, but you want to bring in a specific audience that are looking for specific services. And think about what pages you'd like to show up on the search engine results page. There are many, many pages that live on your website, but what are going to be the most fruitful for your organization? What pages on your site will provide users with the most information and get them to do whatever behavior you want them to do once they get to your website? Once you define your goals, it'll help you just understand where to focus when it comes to building out your SEO strategy. There's a ton of information that you'll find when you're benchmarking your website performance, but SEO is really a long-term game. There's so much that you can focus on. There's a million changes that you can make on your website to make it SEO friendly. But helping you define your goals will help you determine where to start. It can seem really overwhelming to start doing SEO because there's so many things to factor in. You can think about site speed, you can think about keyword research, content building, but making sure that you're sticking to your goals will help you keep you on a straight path. Once we define those goals and think about where to start, we can understand what people are searching for in relation to your organization. SEO really does rely on pulling search traffic that already exists to your website. So unlike Facebook, where ads will seek out relevant audiences and present information, SEO is kind of the opposite. It requires identifying what users are already searching for and optimizing your website to appear for those specific queries. And in order to do this, you'll need to think about what types of queries and topics that your target audience may be searching for. We'll dive into a couple of tools to use to identify those specific keywords, but there's also some factors of things to keep in mind when we're choosing what keywords we want to target. One being search volume. We want to make sure that the searches that we're going after, the keywords that we're targeting, are going to bring in organic traffic to your website. We are going to invest our time into building out new content or optimizing your existing pages, but we want to make sure that we're doing those for fruitful keywords. We need to make sure that those keywords that we're targeting are going to have people searching for them, and it will bring in more organic traffic. So understanding the average number of searches that people are searching for those keywords every single month. But keeping in mind, again, we're going to target keywords that have lower search volume, but really high search intent. So maybe keywords that don't have thousands of searches every single month, but the people that are searching them are really invested. And also keywords that have high monthly search volume, but low competition. So any keywords that do have thousands of searches every single month, but not every single website is trying to go after those same keywords. After understanding what people are searching for, using different tools, again, like SEMrush, Ahrefs, SpyFu, these are great keyword research tools. These three on the left, again, do require a membership, but they'll provide you with a lot of information around search volume, keyword difficulty, just generally more ideas around things that you can target related to those topics. And then the tools on the right, Keywords Everywhere, Google Keyword Planner, and Google Trends are all free tools that you can use. They will provide some information around keyword ideas. Some of them have search volume related to them, and it'll just give you trends around how many types of people search for those keywords and where they will search for them. So after understanding those keywords, kind of idolizing on what types of keywords that you do want to target, we'll take a look at the different metrics related to those keywords. This is a screenshot of keywords that Quality Start is ranking for. And as you can see, this is a screenshot from Ahrefs, one of the keyword research tools that we just covered, and it'll show us the volume. So keywords that have thousands of monthly searches. The KD column here is keyword difficulty. So how difficult it would be to rank for those keywords based off of how many other people are trying to target those same keywords, and just trying to factor in what keywords to go off of based off of that information. Next, we'll work on creating a content strategy based off of those keywords. We know what topics we want to target. We know what keywords we want to target, where the search volume exists. How do we bring that traffic to our site? And the short answer really is including those keywords within your website, including those keywords within your content on your site. And so you can create blogs, create awareness-based pages, resource pages that include those keywords within your website in order to rank for those. And one way to determine what types of content to focus on most will be taking a look at what your competitors are ranking for. See what their websites are ranking for and what is bringing in the most organic traffic for your competitors, and try to revamp those ideas and build out more content on your website based off of their successes. And also just, again, always take a look at user behavior. As you're building out your content, do some more benchmarking. See what content is most successful for you and your organization, and what brings in the most organic users, whether that be blog pages or resource pages. The process of doing this for Quality Start was really just identifying some of the main goals for them, the keywords that were most important for them, and trying to build out specific blog posts for each of those keywords. And we were able to do so by identifying some of these acronyms here are resources that they wanted to build out, and we created new blog posts around these. And as you can see, a screenshot here, we began ranking for some of these keywords that were really important to their organization and had a good amount of search traffic behind them. The next step is creating SEO-friendly content formatting. And there are ways to format your website in order to make it easier for Google to understand the content that lives on your website. There are different things that we can fill out on each URL in order to signify to Google what that content piece is about and make your content more likely to rank for it. For example, title tags are the little blue links that show up on the search engine results page that you can include keywords in and give a little bit of information about what your content is about. And that'll signify to Google what your content is about, what keywords are included in your content, and be more likely to rank your content for those keywords. Same with meta descriptions, which are the little descriptions that show up underneath the title tags within the search engine results page. Headers, which are within your content and the titles of each section throughout your content piece, and using headers to identify what areas are surrounding a specific keyword topic that you're talking about within your content. And again, just making sure that you're including keywords within your content that you want to rank for. A couple other things that might help you in terms of SEO formatting and getting your content to rank is internal linking, making sure that you're linking back to other related resources that live on your website, and alt text. Alt text is descriptions about media that live on your site that make it easier for Google to understand what is in your images and how it relates to the keyword or topic at hand that you're trying to rank for. Not only is alt text really good for SEO purposes, but it's also a great ADA compliance feature to have within your website as we're moving towards ADA compliance as a user experience feature. We want to make sure that your website is user-friendly, bottom line. And there's a few different factors that go into that. One being a fast performing website, we want to make sure that slow loading speed is not going to be a factor in what affects your organic performance and your user experience. We all are familiar with the experience of clicking on a website and it takes forever to load. And so just adjusting your site to make it perform faster will not only make it more likely for Google to rank your website, but users will appreciate it as well. Making sure that you have unique and high quality content on your website. We want your content to stick out above the rest. We want it to be really resourceful and also formatted in a way that is SEO friendly and easy for Google's algorithm to read. We also want to make sure that you have well-structured and secure links on site, making sure that all of your links are in a proper SEO format. And then the last portion of creating your SEO strategy is creating an off-page strategy. Again, this is where we're trying to show Google that your website is really credible. And we can do that through identifying any websites that reference your organization and have them mention you and reach out to those different organizations. And so as we're going through this, I just wanted to give you some friendly reminders. There are a lot of steps regarding your SEO strategy and some things that you and your team can begin working on, but it's a really long-term process and it's a long-term investment. But like any worthwhile investment, it takes some time to grow as you start doing your keyword research, your content optimization, creating more content to include those keywords. You will begin seeing results over time, but those results really are sustainable. You won't need to spend ad spend behind them. And they're just really great in bringing in a lot of organic traffic. And just one thing we always like to mention, you're writing for a human and not a search engine. As you write this new content, keep your keywords in mind and make sure that you're including them within your content, but don't feel like you need to stuff all of those keywords in there in a way that's just unnatural. Make sure that it's still spaced and written for the user. So to build your SEO strategy, to highlight again, benchmarking your current SEO performance, making sure that you know where to start, what is most fruitful for you and your organization, defining your SEO goals. Out of all of the areas that you could work on, where do you really want to start? Then seeing what people are searching for and create that content based off of those keywords to pull that audience and engaged audience to your website. Make sure that your content that you're creating is formatted in an SEO-friendly, user-friendly way, and try to get other websites to link back to the content that you're creating to make your website be deemed as more authoritative. Now that was a lot to go over, and I wanted to open the floor to you all through Q&A and post all of the questions that you may have in our Q&A section, but I just want to highlight here again, if you're exploring Community Boost SEO services and offerings would be helpful to you and your organization, you can sign up via the link that Candace is posting in chat and connect with one of our specialists, and we would be able to communicate with you about our SEO strategy with a light SEO audit and really work with you to improve organic search traffic rankings and rank up to 3 times more keywords. So keep that in mind. If you're willing to engage with us, you can scan the QR code or click on the link that Candace is posting, but feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you may have in our remaining time.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Yeah, and for everyone that is interested in our services or even just exploring to see if this is a good fit for you, I really do recommend taking advantage of the opportunity to actually get that light SEO audit from the Community Boost team. You'll be working with our team here. Some of you, if you sign up, you'll actually be working with Ashley. So that would be very awesome. And Ashley, this has been so amazing. I'm going to launch a poll. If you are interested in that SEO audit, just let us know here. I know you can go ahead and schedule it right through the link, but We can also just follow up with you afterwards if that's easier than trying to find the links in the chat. Someone asked if I was going to send the links in the follow-up email tomorrow. I promise I will. So yeah, this is super awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. And Donna said, thank you for this amazing overview of a very abstract but important topic for website maintenance. So I think this has been just so much great engagement in the chat, and just what a great overview and an in-depth look at how approachable it actually is for organizations to get started with this strategy. So thanks, Ashley. I'm going to give the 10 more seconds on the poll. I still see responses flying in. So if you do want that strategy session and SEO audit, go ahead and let us know now. And I'm ending the poll, and thank you all. We'll follow up with you. If you also are just simply interested in a resource as well, we have our SEO guide. This is something I will also send in the follow-up email, but this is a 19-page guide. It's super in-depth, and it will really help you implement a lot of the learnings from today as well. So I do really encourage you to go ahead and download that guide. It's one of our new guides here, so it's fresh off the presses and really up to date as far as SEO strategy goes. Ashley did a lot of work on that as well, and gave us all of her great insights. So I want to give us about 10 minutes here to dive into Q&A. If you would like to go ahead and ask a question, put it in the Q&A pane. I think we already have about 7 questions queued up, but we would love to get all of your questions answered. So let's go ahead and get to it. There's a lot of great questions here. So some of these are things that we covered, but it's always good for a quick refresher. So Donna asks, how do we see which keywords we're ranking for?
That's a great question. There's a few different tools that you can use to see what keywords that you're ranking for. There's a few options that require membership, but there are also some free options. And one of the free options that is really useful to have for a lot of SEO purposes is Google Search Console. And this is something that you can set up that lives on your, that is connected to your website. And it'll show you all of the keywords that you're ranking for organically, as well as the position that you're ranking for them in. And that can be a nice way for you and your team to go back and look at what you're ranking for, what you're not ranking for, and try to benchmark your goals there.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that guidance. Super helpful. Google Search Console is a great way to go. Yeah, so let's see, there's a lot of great questions. Also feel free to look at the Q&A pane. So Joanne asked, in particular for Quality San Bernardino, they asked for a sample list of keywords that help them really get those results. So like, what types of keywords do people even really start with? So any examples or suggestions you have would be super helpful.
Yeah, one of our goals that we started off with Quality Start was to get them ranking for keywords related to some of their main goals or pages that they wanted to draw the most attention to. So they had a lot of really great resources built out on their website and information that they wanted to draw traffic to that was really helpful to the early childhood education community. So we took a look at some of our keyword research tools that we mentioned and found a lot of different keywords related to those different services that and resources that they wanted to draw attention to. I always like to take a look at longer tails keywords, meaning keywords that are asking questions that are maybe not just one short term, but what does this resource do for me? Or where can I find this? Like keywords that are questions or longer sentences. And I found those to not only be less competitive when it comes to targeting those and ranking for those, but also they're a little bit more involved. The people that are typing in those keywords are definitely looking for a solution. They're looking for specific resources. They have more intent behind the keywords. And so those are types of keywords that I always like to target and think about when doing my keyword research. And then from there, because those keywords have questions or are questions, it helps me form the content that I want to write. And it just gives us the intent behind them, what they're actually looking for. And then we're able to provide the answers to those questions throughout the content that we're creating.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. So I feel like a good maybe example would be for that too. So like, let's say you're like a breast cancer organization. So like maybe like breast cancer resources might be a keyword that you want to rank for, but like a long tail keyword might be like, where can I get a breast cancer screening?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that would be a great place to start. And thinking about like the practical things people are actually looking for. Thanks, Ashley. And let's see. Tracy asked, what is the best tool to see what our competitors rank for?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a few tools. I think that the best ones do require a membership, but I highly suggest, if you're going to invest more time in SEO and an SEO strategy, investing in a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or SpyFu. Those are all included in this deck that you can see later on. And they give a lot of insight, not only to what your organization is ranking for, but you can also input your competitors' URLs and see what keywords that they're ranking for, what their top pages are that are bringing in the most organic traffic. And it can give you a lot of insight into what works well for them and what they're doing that you're not doing, and start utilizing that within your own content strategy and see how you can build that within your own website.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. Someone asked, an anonymous attendee asked, please describe a link in SEO format. What makes it different from other links?
Yeah, so there's a few different things regarding link health. I always think it's really helpful as you're building out new content to include the keywords that you want to target within your actual URLs. So say that we as Community Boost wanted to create a page about digital marketing strategies, maybe a blog about digital marketing strategies, somehow including digital marketing strategies within your URL slug. Also trying to create subsections within your website that are related and linking those all together with a common URL. So all of the blogs on your website should have some type of blog portion within your URL. And those types of URL formatting can make it a little bit easier for Google to understand the formatting of your content and also the information that lives within your content.
Awesome. Thanks. And a couple more questions. We have a couple more minutes. If anyone has more questions, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the Q&A pane. And if you have more questions that you'd like to take offline, you can always shoot us an email. My email is candace@communityboost.org. So please feel free to, I know you get a lot of emails from me, so you can always reply to those. Donna asked, what are the best ways to get our website's pages to load more quickly? So you mentioned site speed is a big part of SEO. What are some tips that you have?
That's a really great question. And I think that one of the most helpful tools that you can use is a free tool that Google offers, and it's Google's Page Speed Insights tool. And that tool, you can enter your website URL into that tool, and it'll show you how quickly or slowly your website loads. It'll give you a ranking between 1 and 100, and it'll give you a bunch of really helpful recommendations of what you need to adjust on your website in order to make it load quicker. And a lot of common things that slow down your websites are excess code that lives on your site, or your images and media aren't formatted in a way that will load quickly, and so that may add some buffering time to your site speed. But I really recommend the Page Speed Insights tool. It's free, it's really easy to use, and you can connect with your web developer with the results on what you can change in order to increase your site speed.
Thanks, Ashley. That's awesome. I just pasted the link in the chat, so feel free to go ahead and grab that. This is a good question. Mary asks, if we have resources that are PDFs on our website, but the content is not actually built into the site, does linking to those resources on other sites still build your credibility?
Yeah, that's a really great question as well. PDFs still can show up organically, and just having those PDFs on site and having other websites link back to those PDFs, as long as there's still URLs that live on your website, can help. I always think that it's best to try to format the content that lives in those PDFs in a format on your website that is just a web page. So transforming those PDFs into actual content and pages that live on your website on a specific URL, not in a PDF. And that not only will make it easier for Google to understand and read that content, but it'll also make it easier and more beneficial for other websites to link back to you. It'll be easier for people to engage with your website once they come to your site from that backlink. So PDFs are definitely good, and they continue to have value if other people link to them. However, definitely suggest moving those into a specific page or URL that lives on your site.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's so key. We're like, yeah, copy and pasting all that content from the PDF right onto a landing page or blog post will go a long way to helping you get that page length. And then you can always have, the PDF download available, like if you want to offer it and do some lead capture there as well. So yeah, the questions keep coming. Ashley, do you have 1 or 2 minutes to finish them out? Lots of great questions here. So Andrea asked, what is considered a competitive result number in Google? We talked a little bit about these earlier.
Yeah, so in the keyword research tools, a lot of the keyword research tools will rank keywords on a scale of 1 to 100 of keyword difficulty. The lower the number, the easier it is to rank for them. I would say it really depends on a few different factors. If your website has really high domain authority, if you have a lot of backlinks coming to your website, it'll be easier for you to rank for those difficult keywords because Google will see your site as healthier and more authoritative, and it'll be more likely to rank your website over websites that aren't as authoritative when it comes to those really competitive keywords. So I would say it depends. I can't give you like a set number because there's a few different factors that go into it. However, keywords that are in the 70s, 80s, and 90s of that keyword difficulty may require your website to have a little bit more domain authority to get really competitive in. And so trying to target keywords with a lower keyword difficulty if your website doesn't have that domain authority. And you can see your domain authority rankings score within some of the keywords like SEMrush and Ahrefs.
Thanks. That's a super helpful, quick description. Really great. Donna asks, how important is a sitemap for SEO?
Yeah, sitemaps are incredibly important. Sitemaps will help it'll help Google understand what pages live on your site, what pages should be indexed on your website. A lot of website platforms like WordPress or Drupal will have auto updates to your sitemap as you make adjustments to your website, but making sure that you do have some type of updated sitemap will definitely help you rank organically. If that's something that you have concerns about, if your sitemap isn't up to date, I would definitely take a look at Google Search Console, and that'll give you some information around what pages on your website are being indexed and what are not. And you can take a look at that and make sure that all of the pages that you want to be indexed are being indexed there, and just kind of double check that. But very important for SEO.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Ashley. Just pasting the link if anyone does have more in-depth questions that you want to get answered from our team. If you're interested in our services and just want a little bit more detail, because there's been so many great questions today, please go ahead and book that SEO audit, and we'd love to chat with you and answer all of your questions one-on-one. Yeah, just 2 more questions here, and then I think we'll call it a day. And thank you everyone for being here and engaging. And this has been so incredible just to see like how everyone was super engaged in the chat and super engaged with the content. And we would love to continue providing more content like this for you. So Tom asked, do you know of any nonprofit pricing for the various paid tools, or maybe where they can go to access that?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm not positive about specific nonprofit pricing tools for some of these SEO tools. However, I think that a lot of the reps from these tools will be able to give you information about that. Usually there are some type of nonprofit deals for digital marketing tools. So it would definitely be worth reaching out to the SEMrush team or the Ahrefs team to see if they could provide you with that information.
Yeah, I haven't done any research on that myself, but I probably should. Now that, what great question. You can always check too. I feel like TechSoup has a lot of really great discounts on tools like this for nonprofits. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some information there. So please go ahead and check out TechSoup. Awesome. And then the last question is more about gated content and what you really think is like the best way to gate content, so that you can still have those like drivers for lead generation, basically through those search engine optimized sites.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really great question. I think one way that you could do this would be having a resource page that doesn't have a ton of information, but lets you know that you have more in-depth resources, and then ask them to sign in or provide specific information, detailed information in order to access the more detailed content. So if you have one resource page that includes some of the keywords and includes the keywords within the title tag and meta description and the body of the content, but doesn't go super in depth, and then you prompt them for some type of login or contact information in order to access the content, then not only will you rank for the initial page, but you'll be able to gain their login information and then give them whatever download or specific locked access that they had.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like something even the Community Boost team here does is like we'll always have a blog post related to the keyword, and then also a guide with it, so that there's that sort of more surface level content, just like Ashley said, and then you can have a form on the page itself that you can collect emails through, and now you have people that are downloading the PDFs, and you're also getting more subscribers at the same time. So I think that's just end of day, like the whole point of all of this, right, is you want your website traffic to then translate into more subscribers and people who are getting more information about your organization, getting to know your organization more, and invested in your mission, so that hopefully they become supporters at the end of the day. So that's a great question to sort of wrap it up. And yeah, again, thank you for everyone who's still here. There's so many people still on. And I just wanted to let everyone know, if you haven't gotten the chance, please go ahead and you can always book that conversation with us. And if you have more questions for me, you can always email me at candace@communityboost.org. And I think that's it today. This has been incredible. So thank you so much, Ashley, for being here and giving us all this great insights, and even staying on extra to get through all of the questions. So really appreciate you. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. You'll get the email tomorrow with the recording, as well as the slides and some links and resources for you. So keep an eye out in your inbox. So thanks, everyone, again, and have a great rest of your Wednesday. Take care.